I'm Matt Braunger. This might help.
I am not a doctor.
This might help.
I'm not a professional.
Let's have fun. This honestly is a good time.
Honestly, I got no idea what I'm doing. What's going on? Who are you?
I'm Matt Braunger. This might help. The podcast.
Hey, welcome to another episode of This Might Help with Matt Braunger. As I always say, this is not clinical. This is for fun. If this helps you, great. If you need clinical help, like real professional shit, like I get twice a month from my therapist, Alan, this is not what you're looking for. But it's for fun. I'm not looking to compete with Dr. Drew, any therapist, any of that shit. I don't know why I do an advice podcast, if I'm honest. Actually, I do. It's fun. It's not really any kind of altruistic thing. It's a good time. But, like someone handing you a weird pill at a party when you're not having fun, this might help. I have a great guest today. A friend, an employer at one point, and just an all-around solid, funny dude. Trevor Moore is with me. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I haven't seen you post shenanigans.
I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's funny how I feel like we all kind of shrunk a little bit in terms of the people we hang out with, obviously for health and safety. And I'm still realizing, just like how part of me thinks like, oh, the pandemic's over, and it's so fucking not. Part of me also thinks I've talked to everybody, and I have not. I've talked to like half the people that I associate with, or I'm cool with, or whatever.
Yeah, it's gonna take a long time. I bet there's still people that like 10 years from now will be like, oh, I guess I stopped being friends with that person in the coronavirus. Like, I didn't mean
so
to.
True. One of the biggest lessons in life I've gotten to myself is like, never, like, I love that thing where like, don't, you shouldn't worry about people talking about you. People only think about themselves.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That goes so many different ways. And it's like one thing I've had to talk to myself when I was younger, where it's like, oh, why doesn't so-and-so, even you call me or text me back or whatever it is, or why don't we talk anymore? It's like, just, they probably are not even aware.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, they're not even, you got to kind of live your life, and don't be that person sitting there arms crossed like, you better call me or better text me, because then I'll be real mad.
Yeah. No, it's very easy to not be friends with people.
Yeah, there's that for
it's
sure.
It's the default thing, like, but you and I live close to each other, and every now and then I'll drive by your place and I'd see that, like, it hadn't fallen into disarray, and I'm like, oh, good. Well, Braunger's still alive. He's made it through the pandemic.
Well, I actually live a block away from there, but it's still, it's not in disarray. So not to worry, But
so I've been checking up on some rando then, like.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you. No, my address isn't online or anything, so I can say this, but Chris Garcia and his wife Valerie live there. Like, when they moved to the neighborhood, Chris was like, hey man, is this a cool area? I'm like, text me the address. And he texted, was like, the fuck, that's my house. Like, I just left. What's going on? And I was like, I had such, when we were renting, and then when my wife found this place that we like bought and had to redo everything, the only way we could afford anything in that neighborhood, like, I was like sad. I was like, we'll never find a place as good as that. And I like our new place better, but it was like, for what it was like in a busy area it was somehow quiet. It was like a Harry Potter spell had been cast on this house that it was set back from the street,
Yeah, that's a very good way to describe it, because it had no business feeling as suburban as it did.
Exactly. I loved having parties there because we had this great big cement patio in the back, and it was awesome at night, string up the lights. And of course, Chris and Val have done better things with it than I ever did, or Kara ever did. So like, more power to them, But like, so you have what, 2 kids?
I have 1 kid. Now, and you had kid in the middle of the pandemic, right?
I did.
That's smart. See, because then you have like a little shimmer of good happening in all this existential like trauma, like.
Yeah, it's one of those telling things that people are like, oh my God, what a hard time to have a kid. I was like, no, it's the best. My job or jobs, any job I would typically do besides maybe writing, was destroyed. Like all my road gigs gone,
Right.
any acting work gone. And it was just like, yeah, no, I'll do this now. I'll just take care of this kid. And my wife works remotely now. So like, great. It was like I felt, I literally had survivor's guilt, on a lot of levels, not just because I survived and I'm surviving, but also that it was doing fine and my mental health didn't fall to shambles like a lot of people. I thought about when I was a bachelor and was completely single, and I don't know what I would have done. I don't know.
Yeah. That I feel like, that would have been real rough. I mean, I'll be honest, besides all the death and everything, but brushing that aside, I could have done 3 more years. Like it didn't bother me that much. Like I liked, my kid had just turned 2.
Oh yeah.
So like, and that's like an age when they're starting to get real fun, and their personalities are coming out. So it's like the universe made everything stop, where it was like, so it's like, all right, now for 18 months, you're going to have to really get to know your kid at like a very crucial time for the kids like growing up. And I had a great time,
Yeah. And it wasn't, you were lucky. We were both very lucky because we have, let's say, 7 or 8 year olds or older, where the parents I talked to were like that. They were like, I'm in literal hell.
Yeah.
Like, I remember Rob Delaney being like, I don't know, this is fucking hell, like being haha about it, but he's like, this is hell. Like, I mean, like, and he's got 3 boys. It was just like, Jesus Christ.
Well, the other thing is like what I noticed, because I would still do like, I still worked somewhat throughout, but it was all through Zoom, very easy, like very laid back. And like, and what I found is that around halfway through the pandemic, people dropped the social nicety of not yelling at their kids on Zoom.
Yeah.
Like halfway through it, people would just turn on the kids and scream. And you're like, whoa, like it felt weird. Like you're witnessing this like, borderline CPS activity.
Yeah. No, it's this, I have to deal with it. So you do too, because otherwise I'm going to fucking break, my writing partner, who is, I'm never getting to work with him because he's on like something like 3 shows or something insane. But he's just like, I gotta take work, and I'm like, dude, it's fine. We're just developing this thing, and the project's like kind of enormous anyway. So I'm just like, look, I don't even think we could sell this fucker. It costs too much right now. But like, I remember when this whole thing started, he was staffed on something, and a producer too, and like one of the executives. I mean, it's you're in the unions too. It's always just like, how much can we get away with? It's always, that's what always, you just be like, no, fucking stop. That's what, like, eventually we have to all walk off the lot or whatever. It's just always a constant, it's constant fuckery. It's like a child, like my nephew, I was taking care of him for literally an hour, and he just kept trying me. Like everything I was told to not let him do, he's like, oh, well, play with Play-Doh. Like he's 2. I was like, no, man, they just cleaned. And he's like, no, Play-Doh's good. Like this just kind of get it past me. And it's the same way. And the beginning of this, he told me that an executive just nonchalantly was like, oh, just like how you guys all hang in a writer's room working for 8 to 10 hours a day, you guys can be on Zoom for 8 to 10 hours a day. And they were like, you're out of your mind. I'll turn my computer right the fuck off, man. No way. And the guy's like, okay, well, I always just look at you guys, just an idea. Guys, just an idea,
Here's the bad pitch. That's my least favorite thing. Like, let me pitch out something that's not going to help you at all.
Yeah, right. Let me just what if we didn't pay you? No. Okay, look, I was asked to ask for that. So
I can't imagine 8-hour Zoom. I mean, I know people who still worked in rooms through the thing, but it's like jump on. And I actually ran we did a series of specials for the Disney Channel that we shot, like sketch comedy specials that we shot completely remotely, where we just shipped we shipped green screens to everybody, and then they filmed in their own room, and then we put them together in scenes with people in post. So it like But even at the writing for that, you can only do about 2 hours on Zoom in a row. Then you got to go away, come back maybe at the end of the day and show everybody, show your work. But like, you know,
totally. Yeah, I mean, it's like not that people necessarily watch quote unquote watch podcasts, but even doing this over the whole pandemic, I mean, we're gonna start going back to studio pretty soon because everybody's vaxxed and shit, and like,
right.
But it's like it's not just the Zoom thing. It's the fact that I've been moving around and shit, and I'm gonna be going on the road, and it's just like, you know, my producer Renee knows, like, there are times where we've finished recording and I'm like in a hotel room in New York or something, or at someone's random fucking house we're staying in, and I'm just like, thank God the Wi-Fi didn't die. Shit, you know,
right.
like, you know, I'm in Provincetown, Massachusetts right now, and like the Wi-Fi's pretty fucking good. Like, psyched. I was like, my wife's upstairs working on a Zoom right now, and I was like, let's take our phones off Wi-Fi, and she's like, no, I'm like on Xfinity. I'm like, fucking yes, found another plug. This is hot. You know, I just want the security of a home base again. You know,
yeah,
it's just
yeah. Like no, it's gonna be weird. I mean, there's also, it's just like it's so easy. Like there's gonna be like a thing of like, oh, going back to normal, where it's like I was I threw a party just for vaxxed people. I did like a real elitist, like, you know, if you're vaxxed, you can come, this thing like that. And it was like the first party that anybody had been to for like, you know, like 18 months. And everyone started out real far apart from each other, like not really. And then slowly, as everyone started drinking, the night went on, people started kind of relaxing a little bit. But then everyone had to leave early because everyone's legs hurt. And like we were all realizing, like, I haven't stood up for 2 hours there's been no reason to stand for 2 hours for 18 months. Like, you know,
that's wild. Oh my God. It's just their hips and knees had atrophied all the time.
Also, like, everyone that you've seen has aged 2 years, like since you saw them last. So we're all
yeah. I feel like it's wild that, you know, how the same movies will just stay on TV all the time, you know, or be in constant rotation. Like for a while, like, you know, before they yanked them, like every Marvel movie was like on a plane. You're like, fuck it, I got 2 hours. I'll watch Winter Soldier. Boom.
Yeah.
You know, like, let's turn my brain off. You know, and then you see any of those people now, and they just have like gray streaks. Like, oh wait, that was from 2009 or whatever.
Yeah. Like all celebrities have completely white hair now when they came out of the thing. It was another thing. Everyone stopped dyeing their hair.
And it's like there was supposed to be a whole new generation of celebrities, but now they're too old for anyone to care because of the it's over, man.
Yeah. The kids from Stranger Things are in their like late 30s now.
Late 30s. That would be incredible. They look completely different.
It's just
they all look like that entertainment lawyer who was in Goonies. What's his name? Oh god damn. Was it the Truffle Shuffle guy?
You know, I've never seen Goonies.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, it was it basically was the funny chubby kid. And he just got a law degree. He was like, fuck it, like I want to be in the business, but not that way anymore. And he's like, nice dude. He's always at like JFL and shit. But like, yeah.
I think the kids who always like are like, you know, who like get who are like, you know, I don't want to do this. You know, those always end up being pretty good dudes.
Oh my God. Anytime someone has like a genuine perspective and like they're like, oh wait, I'm fucking chasing the stupidest thing ever. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. You know.
Oh wait, I'm trying to chase my parents' dreams.
Right. Yeah. A friend of mine was doing a movie with he's a location manager, and he did a movie. He worked with Terrence Malick a couple times.
Oh wow.
And he was like, there's one scene they need a comedian, but what Terrence does is he puts everyone on a bus and just takes them to set, and you don't know when or if he needs you. And so like I'm on this bus with like me and like all extras. As far as I know, I'm going to be an extra too, but I was like, fuck, I want to work with Terrence Malick.
Yeah.
I was a bit there. I sat there for like 8 hours, and I'm like, I'm going to go. And this guy was like, I wouldn't. And I'm like, I'm just going to go. And it's like, didn't use me anyway. You know, wouldn't have used me anyway. Used another guy who showed up to be a comedian. I think Nick Kroll did it or something, and he probably got a phone call, you know, anyway. But like, I was on the, like, long story long, I'm on the bus, and there's always extras around me, and it's just like, I feel so bad for them because they're just like getting to know each other, but all they keep talking about is like, oh God, I wish I was with CAA or WME.
Right.
Don't you? Yeah, me too. Yeah. And I want to be like, dude, that doesn't get you work, man. I've been with a couple of those agencies. I'm with one now. They're there when someone wants to work with you.
Yeah.
Then they negotiate a deal for them.
Yeah.
They don't get you work. Who told you this? Everyone has it all backwards.
Yeah.
It's just bananas.
It's like we've all already lost. The way you have to win, you have to have really rich parents. Like that's how you have to do it. Like
I don't know who tweeted this, but someone tweeted anytime someone's like there's only one New York. I could never live anywhere but New York. It's always someone from like oil money. It's always they like bananas cash. They've got like their parents bought them, a floor in some building that would bankrupt a small town, just something, just that, because now it's either like there's billionaires and then thousandaires. It's like pretty much it. Like
I mean, now it's gotten like it's insane. I mean, but even like I lived there for a while, and it was really sucky. But I love it. I love it, but it's
yes. If anyone listening is like, oh fuck you, I've lived here for 20 years, I love it. Great, dude, I love the city too. But when that's all you ever say about it is how classic and marvelous, and there's no place like it, and oh my god, there's never a moment where you're like, oh, my doorstep smells like shit again, or I have no room or whatever. It's so fucking hot, I'm gonna die. Like, there's never a negative thing. It's like, oh wait, you live in a cryogenically kept, chamber somewhere. Just like, oh God.
Did you see the footage from this weekend of they had hit a big storm hit New York? And I think it was like I forget, it was 114th or whatever, the subway just filled with like rat shit water. Like it filled up to people's chest.
God.
And so you saw all these lines of people, and they're just like, they're just sighing, and they're just diving into it to swim to get to the platform, which was like a raised platform kind of thing. Yeah, because people are like, well, I gotta get to work, and so they're just jumping into this like rat shit water. You should check it out. Like their footage, it's insane, and it's like, and you're like, why would anyone do this? And you're like, well, that's only in New York. Well, it's like, it's the thing. It's like, that's part of the New York thing. You're like, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to swim through rat shit today. Like, like this is.
Everywhere is like is going to be like the battered Bible Belt that we grew up going, why the hell would you live in hurricane country? And like now everything's hurricane country. Now everyone's going to have some sort of biblical plague every couple of months where you're just like, well, it's raining frogs. The stench will kill some of us, Yeah,
they're like, why would you swim through rat shit? I'm like, what, are you going to live in Jersey? The pizza.
I only paid $3,000. You get fucking rent control. That's why.
Yeah. I don't want to take the PATH train.
Fuck that. No, I'm right off the L. Jesus. Yeah. I remember when I was thinking about when I was when I was opening for you guys when the Whitest Kids were playing like comics and one other club in the city. And I just gave you a call. I was like, hey, can I fly in and open? And you were like, totally. And that was like one of the most fun weekends ever.
Oh, yeah.
Breaking into New York clubs a little bit more. And I think I stayed at Jocelyn Hughes' house or apartment.
Oh.
And I was in there, and it was me and her dog all day. And then because all of her roommates were gone. But it was one of those places where I was just like, so you share this with you have a roommate? She's like, oh, I have like 4. Like, what? And I was kind of like, where do they all sleep? There's like 2 rooms. Kitchen.
I swear to God, I rented a closet.
Really?
Yeah, that I paid $350 a month for. Wow. Which is, I mean, that's the only way I could really like live up in New York. Sure. Like I was like, all right. So I had a closet that I could sort of fit like a single mattress into, like the edges would curl up on the side of the wall. Like, but it was really just where I dumped my clothes and I would like sleep at night. And one night I started hearing like a in the wall, and was kind of like looking at the wall like that's not good. And then and it happened for a couple nights in a row, and I just like tried to go back to sleep. And then one night I woke up and a hole had been eaten into the wall like that big, and so something had gotten through. And so then I started going to stay at like my girlfriend's place. I was like, I'm gonna stay over here for a while. And because like this is how bad things were, like one of my friends was like, I'll stay in the room like that. And I was like, go for it like that. So he would sleep with a sword. Like he had a sword that he would like hold like as he went to sleep, because like if whatever it is comes through, I'm gonna hack at it with this thing. And that's the wading through rat shit water. It's just like this is what you gotta do. Like
This is it. It's so close to where all the shows are. You know?
Yeah.
I can I can walk to the Stand. I can walk to Gotham. Like, come on, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's insane. I gotta bring this up because I mentioned that like you hired me at one point.
Yes.
On Walk the Prank, and that was an absolute blast.
You did I think like a 6-episode arc or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah. I was a corny dad, and it was super fun. And I work with those great young actors. And do you know that I got like a big joke of mine from that experience?
Oh, so somebody like we started like Twitch streaming, and somebody sent me the clip, and they're like, "Is this you?" And then I listened to it. I was like, "Holy shit, it is!" And then what was funny to me is because all my friends always get mad at me, like whenever I do like interviews or like stand up or anything like that, I'll tell stories. And they always say that I portray them horribly, like my friends and stuff. Like, and then they say that I exaggerate too much. So I was fascinated. I was like, this is going to be great. Like, I'm going to get to see. This is a story I was firsthand at, and I'll see how much like a pro, like Braunger, like exaggerates, like when I do the thing. And I gotta say, you didn't really exaggerate that much.
No,
that would have held up in court. That was pretty.
Because it just didn't. 100% exaggerated. Like all my biggest stuff is story based, and it'll just be like a lot of it is how I remembered how it felt. In fact, I created this. I did a pilot for Nickelodeon that was these two little boys that were going through the world, and everything was kind of scary. Like a guy would come around the corner, and he was like he was a monster. Like they saw him as a dinosaur, because I was like, that's the thing you forget when you're a little kid. Outside your parents' domain, it's like it's the fucking land of the lost. So that was like kind of the basis. But like,
well, also back when we were growing up, parents were like, "Hey, everyone that you don't know is trying to kidnap you."
Dude,
that was like what it was back then. Like,
there's a park near my parents' house, and I remember being there with my friend Eli, and we were trying to drink from a water fountain, and it was like, God, it was like what, like 6 or 7, and this fucking dude with like. He had huge Coke bottle glasses and a greasy tank top, just awful, unkempt, like a guy in a movie who makes bombs. That's what he looked like. And he had a baby. He had his baby in his arms. And he's like, and we're sitting there trying to get water. And he goes, "You girls gonna drink or what? You girls." He knows we're boys. He's fucking being a prick. He's calling us girls, like doing that shit that guys do to each other to make him feel small. And we're like. And I'm like, what? I was so stunned by the rudeness. I didn't know. I was like, it's barely coming out. And he goes, then suck it. He's like, and we just walked away. We're like, and to this day, I was like, how are you that horrible? And you have a baby. It's ridiculous.
Well, I think you're giving him the benefit of the doubt that it's his baby.
That's true. It was pretty calm. I don't know.
Just assumed. Yeah.
Yeah. Might have been a baby sealer. But like, because I needed no embellishment for that story. None. Yeah. Because it was just a moment where the bottom fell out, where I was just like, what did you just say in a car with two little boys?
But the thing is, and you talk about this is, I mean, this is like, I get the punchline of the thing is like how much all the crew loved it. Yeah. Like, everyone loved, I mean, like
the parents were so happy because they just been like, I thought I would be the one. I thought I'd be the one to break the cursing thing. And on this kid show, and he did it. He did it worse than anyone possibly could have. We couldn't have written that worse.
Yeah, the only people who are like not happy about it would be like the Disney executives that were sitting in like the village with me. But I was always just kind of like, it's okay. it happens. This is.
Yeah, I'm sure they've seen it. I mean, I just for those of you who don't know, I was in the car. I was supposed to pull up to the school with my actor kids, two little kids, and I just missed my mark or something, and I just said "fuck me in the ass," and I just yelled it. And I was like, "Shit!" I was like, "Guys, I'm so sorry." And the young one was like, "It's okay. I know all those words." Like, in his voice was kind of quivery, and I was like,
and that's not even an embellishment because that's exactly it was "fuck me in the ass." That was what.
Yelled "fuck me in the ass" because I screwed up a line, and then I looked right in the camera. There was like 3 on us, and I was like, "I'm fired. I'm assuming I'm fired." Because I was just like, and you know what? The thing was, it wasn't that I was embarrassed. I just felt so awful to say such a horrible thing. One of those kids is behind me, and I'm saying "fuck me in the ass." Like it couldn't have been worse, you know. But
well, it's like, also like they were at the age where they would tell on each other. Like, you know, it was like they would tattle for things like that if somebody said like that. So, it was just below that age where, like, you know, like where they're like, that's cool. Like, it was still like they were stunned.
They were stunned. And I remember you told me the younger one, he had just worked with like Clint Eastwood. And and he went up to Clint Eastwood and went, "You're so old." Just said it to his face. And Clint Eastwood cracks up like, "Oh, you little prick." That's so good.
Yeah, well, he was still shocked by that. Like Clint Eastwood is like one of my favorite celebrities. You know, not so. I mean, I'm just like I love all those old movies.
God, are you kidding me?
Yeah. And so when he was gonna be working for him, I was like, "Oh, that's incredible." And then when he got back from it, I was like, "What was it like? What was it like?" And he couldn't get over the fact that he was old. He was like, he was so old. And I was like, "What do you mean he was so old?" Like, he's 90 some years old. But he had only seen pictures from like back in.
Oh, of course. Friggin' like perfect specimen cowboy Clint. Yeah. I mean, and it's because he's been like a vegan for like 100 years or something. Like that guy will outlive everybody, you know?
Yeah, it's insane. He's still doing like 2 movies a year. And supposedly he just, he never says action.
Really?
He just kind of like, just go. Like, you know, and like he's
great.
Never raises his voice. Like, you know, takes naps during the day. Like, you know, you'll do like a scene and then he'll take a break. Like, you know, that's great.
Yeah. I think Clint Eastwood is just going to be like at one point, like sit down and be like, "I think I'm going to die," and just lay down and that's it. Like he just decide. He'll decide.
Yeah. But he'll like disappear like in those Star Wars movies. Like there'll be no body.
His clothes will collapse and he'll just be gone. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there'll be a gunshot in the distance, just just to blow off. So I gotta ask. I do this with everybody that I have on the show. Do you get asked advice? Because I really don't that often. Besides, how do you make it in comedy? You know,
that's the only advice I get. No one looks at my me and asks for any sort of like personal advice. Like, you know, like but I get advice for like comedy stuff, but that's it. Yeah.
But I would say like you are perfect for this show because you've done a lot of different things and you've also been really honest in your art, you know, where you're doing stuff, you know, like high in church and where it's like, no, this is a real thing. I'm not going to, I feel like in the past 15 years, it's always been this thing of like, people love it when you're vulnerable. It's because they want to be like Richard Pryor, which no one will ever be, you know, that way. But it's also people only share so much. And I think that's true of all of us.
Right.
Kind of but it is telling that, you know, Mr. All-American great dad, Bill Cosby, had a dark one deep down.
I never trust I never trust the people who like, you know, try to make themselves look good. Like, you know, like, you know, that's always the people, you know, that, and then like the super nerdy guys who get really rich. Yeah. Like those are, then I'm like, oh boy, here you go. You know,
you have a paid harem.
Yeah. And you're angry at all the girls from high school because they didn't pay any attention to you. That's
it's so dangerous. It's so dangerous. Yeah. And anytime it's just like, you know, squeaky clean comedy night, you know, or something. It's just like, why do you have to say it? No one's like, Jim Gaffigan so clean. But he is. It's just
Yeah.
he's so funny. You don't think about it. You know, same with like Brian Regan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Maria Bamford doesn't curse. It's like these are still quote unquote clean acts.
Yeah.
Like, when that's someone's whole billing, like they're on the poster sweeping or some shit, you're like, oh, that's a rapist.
Yeah.
That is that guy sells drugs to kids. I'm sorry.
If I were in the FBI, what I would do is I would be tracking all of the clean comedians. I've said this before on other, but I would put agents in the airport at Thailand. And as soon as single guys get off the plane by themselves, they go immediately to jail.
Yeah.
You go to jail. Like if you're there by yourself, you're going to jail.
I would say the Philippines as well. I saw a lot of just fat, bearded dudes with ponytails. Like they all came out of the same factory in like tank tops. And
it's
then,
all the comic book guy from The Simpsons.
Yeah. Oh, that's him. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was almost gonna say Homer with his hair grown out, but it's like they look less healthy than Homer. That's it. Comic book guy with his arm around a girl that was tiny and super young, and you're just like, why did you kidnap your kid's babysitter? Like, what's going on? You know, like, I'm just like, slap the cuffs on him. Oh, yeah. Okay. So
we've got to become president somehow.
Yeah, we really
clean this country up,
or at least just part-time cops. I think people with great ideas at fighting crime, interestingly, should be given a badge for. Like, I don't want to have a gun, but I'm just kind of like, I want the I was saying we need to get special forces dudes to just run around neighborhoods, just tranking vaccinations into people for the rest of us, you know. And there would be guys that if we were like, all right, you know, you and I are like, we've got a couple ones we talking to. You know? But they've been like Hawaiian shirts, so we're like, okay, the fat dude who's abducted the young woman is in that building, and then the real badasses run in. You know, then we get guys get the ass kickers to run in and drag that dude out.
But we're spot them. We're like Braunger and I. We'll go to the airport. We could spot these pedophiles for you guys.
If we just gave that list to the FBI, they're like, this is fantastic work. Here's the problem, guys. None of us think like these guys, and that's a problem. That's a real problem.
You know what it is? No one gets deputized anymore. You ever watch those old Clint Eastwood movies? They're always deputizing people where they're like, we need you right now. Like they should have a bigger deputization program in our country where they're like, you know, like FBI should watch this and deputize you and I for like a month, see how it works out.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, the problem then, it was just like they hand you a rifle you don't know what to do with, and it's just like, we're going to ride for 5 nights and find the Jensen gang. They're vicious murderers. And you're like, fuck, dude, no. I want to stay with my hot pioneer wife. God damn it.
I want to be a civilian again.
I'm taking this badge off.
Yeah. Can you civilianize me back?
I deny you your right to deputize me. I'm fine with the Jensen gang. I'm on their side.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't listen to any of the calls. Renee just picks them. And we got a couple, I think, just specifically for you on the show, which is rad.
Okay.
If you're ready, let's roll the first call.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, well, this is fucking awesome. My friend texted me this number and said if you love Trevor, to call this number, and I didn't know what it was for. But anyway, so I hate my boss so much. I get paid really good money. I love my job, but I hate my boss. So I don't know. You have any advice for something like that? Cool. Thanks, man. Love you. Bye.
Well, that's a good question. You hate your boss, but she's making good money.
Yeah. Oof.
That's a tough. Like, you almost need more information because, like, why do you hate your boss? Is your boss like an actual like prick, or is he just annoying?
That's the thing. Know? I should as a prerequisite, I should always say this because it happens every fucking episode. People just will say something. Should I leave my girlfriend? Beep. Like, what? Are you serious? That's all. That's something that, you know, like.
No matter what's happening. No.
I can hear. I can hear in the timbre of your voice, you will not find better.
You are soulmates. Yeah.
Marry her now.
Have a baby. That might fix it.
It's always. That'll bring you together the right way. Yeah. So people never leave enough information, but it feels to me like she should not be like try to work it out, because she's not like my boss makes me feel unsafe. My boss makes me feel uncomfortable. It's just like, you just hate him because he's a prick or he's mean. Is he overstepping bounds? Now, I'm not just talking in like a predatory manner. Is he kind of asking you to do too much stuff? Like coming on the weekend or whatever. I think, yeah, it's right now. If you've got a well-paying job, that's pretty goddamn good. I don't know.
Yeah. If the job is what you like to do and it's well-paying.
Better point.
I'm always a huge fan of being duplicitous. Duplicitous, is that not the word? I'm a huge fan of a word I don't know.
You nailed it.
It's a huge fan of lying. I guess that's what I should have said with my vocabulary.
Sure.
But I like, if I don't like someone, especially in a work setting, I overly befriend them. The whole keep your enemies close, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And I like to never let somebody know that I don't like them. I'll try to get them to think that we're tight. And I've found good success with, and a lot of times the thing that you don't like about them, you'll be able to sidestep because, people are just going to be nicer to people that they think like them.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's genius. Kill them with kindness.
Yeah. And you can still hate them in your own head. You save that. But then you can feel good about it. You're like, they don't even know I hate them.
And then when you get tight enough, you can say horrible shit to them and they think you're kidding.
Exactly. Yeah.
You said, yeah, whatever, dickhead. It's like, Trevor, you know?
Yeah.
In your mind, you're like, no, I really think you're a dickhead, man.
Yeah, and then someday, if you're both drunk and you're going home from a bar, you can nudge him into the subway. The old house of cards.
Like every good bit of advice, it ends with murder. Perfect. Yeah, I think that's fantastic advice because she doesn't sound like she's in distress. It's just like she's like, oh, fuck that guy,
Yeah.
Like we've all felt about one authority figure or another in our lives that we couldn't, you kind of take the good with the bad with.
I've never had a boss that I hated, but I've had bosses that were so grossly and blatantly incompetent that I've become obsessed with them, and I just always become fascinated. And then my whole day at work, I just kind of watch them, and I'm like, how is no one else? How are you still here? What dirt do you have on the CEO? What are you that kind of thing?
Yeah, when I was a waiter a long time, and there were certain managers that would come in. A lot were really cool people, or I just didn't feel one way or the other about them. But there was there's one guy who is kind of the big regional guy, and just didn't have anything in his life but this job and money. And it was you could tell he was so lonely, and also every morning would be just had a triple espresso, and I've never seen him with a coffee in my entire time there. It was 6 years.
You think he's lying about it?
You're just doing blow in your office and coming out because restaurant managers do blow. That's just a fact of life. You know? And so it was it was one of those things, and there were times he made me mad, but it's same thing. I could never hate him because it was I feel so bad. You're so lonely, dude. You would never say that out loud, but you're so lonely. But you could always if you were mad at him, and if he would make you mad, you could just rub it in a little bit, kind of just be well, I'm gonna go off and spend a weekend with my wife and children who are just really rub it in, just try to push him towards the void, Sure. Towards that heart bursting key bump, that last one.
Yeah. Yeah. Try to snort your way out of this image I'm gonna put in your head.
Yes. So, okay, hope that helps, caller, and please thank your friend for texting you the number because that's fucking rad. All right, caller number 2.
Hey guys, my name's Mark, and I'm trying to start a bakery here in Florida, but I can't think of a name to call it. Any ideas? Thanks. Wow. Let's go to Mars, baby.
That's great. That's a great question. I like that.
That's so good.
Well, Tammy Faye Bakery would be pretty good.
That's a good one. Good one from Florida, too.
Yeah, Baker.
Yeah.
Baker.
I wouldn't do anything like, like people do the stony ones, like wake and bake, or like, get baked, like that stuff. It's just like, because it's always one of those things where I've never been high and been like, oh my God, I want a muffin. You know what I mean? Or like, I want a big hunk of bread. It's like, it just doesn't, the worlds don't go well together with the pun.
Yeah.
So I would say don't do that. I will say,
well, what if the pun was you named the store, I believe they baked the moon landing?
I like it. Oh, they baked the moon landing. Bake news. You can do any kind of whatever fake, thing.
Deep bakes.
Something that doesn't make any sense. Bake the money and run. Doesn't mean anything. Why would you bake money? Or just even come on, bake the money and run. Like, so long. Someone has to stay on the phone when they answer it.
Yeah.
Man. Well, it's like there's a English muffin place in Glendale called Muffin Can Stop Us. I was like, that name is so good, but you can also always take Muffin's Gonna Stop Us Now.
Muffin's Gonna Stop. I go up to like when I record like albums, I go up to Woodstock to record them. My producer lives in Woodstock, New York.
Oh, cool.
And there's a dentist up in Woodstock whose the name of his business is Transcendental. And that's so on the nose that I'm like, did he move his dentist practice to Woodstock for that name, or it's almost too like
and to prey on old stoners. You're like, I'm telling you, Moonchild, you haven't paid your bill. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
sure, man. You sure?
Moonchild,
paid it.
It's called Invisalign. None of your friends will even know you have it. Moonchild, it's going to change your life. Yeah.
Tell you what, you need it. No, you need it to save your life. It's not just for cosmetics.
Yeah.
Very necessary. So, caller number 2, I hope that helped. I think we gave you some fucking winners. And honestly, when you just signed off with "Let's go to Mars, baby," I think that's not a bad bakery name too. If you don't want to do no puns.
That's a reference to we have a Whitest Kids movie coming out next year.
Yeah.
And we're raising money for it, like through that. Like that's yeah.
I mean, I know, but it's like it's still good. Use a Whitest Kids reference, man.
Yeah. Let's go to Mars.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Hope that helps, man. Caller number 3.
All right. I need help with girls, but not girls. I need help telling the guys from the girls. I'm talking about catfishing, and I know your guest, Trevor Moore, knows a lot about catfishing. So I just need help trying to figure out when I'm talking to a girl if she's actually a girl or just some weirdo guy trying to mess with me. Because I'm just trying to get my thing on because I'm real lonely and stuff, So
Absolutely.
I just need to know that I'm not being led on by some weirdo. Thank you.
It's good. It's good. Yeah, this is a big hobby of mine.
Okay.
I catfish people a lot. Like I have all these fake Instagram accounts of like pretty girls, and I'll just post like, shots of like wine glasses against the sunset, kind of things like that. And then I'll wait for dudes to send me really creepy like DMs. Okay. And then I'll just fuck with them. I'll take them on this adventure and but I have like, there's a moral code to it. I'm like Dexter, like where I'm like, they have to approach me first. They have to be creepy. And then I'll, take them.
It's not like just like a lonely guy, like caller number 3. It's not a guy who's just like, I just want to meet someone, or even a person who's like, I'm trying to get laid, but they're kind of going about it the normal route. they're doing something egregious, something that's just, that's nasty, dude, or annoying.
I'm looking for the comic book guy from The Simpsons on his way to Thailand. That's who I'm looking for to mess with.
Who is actually, comic book guy is more cynical. This dude is like his brother. That's just a fucking creep.
Yes,
but looks like. Yeah. Mate, how long have you been doing that?
Like a while. Like it started out with me in my writer's room. We started all doing it. And then like we'd take breaks in the middle of the day and read any good catches we got. Like, and so then it just became this thing. And we actually do it on my Comedy Central show. At the beginning of an episode, I'll read out like a good one or something like that.
Nice.
But it's my way to give back.
I love it. I think it's good.
And but I would say, the way to tell if somebody is real or not is FaceTime is very easy now. As soon as someone is like, my phone is broken or I don't have internet here, it's fake. It's fake. That has never kept anybody from like sending a video saying hi or anything in the history of anything.
Yeah. And it's easy it's one of those things where if they're interested in you, they will go ahead and FaceTime, or something. Like if they don't want to FaceTime, then, who cares if they're a woman or man? It's like, just let them go.
Yeah.
Don't be that person being like, oh, to borrow an Onion headline, I think that stripper really liked me. That whole like I'm holding on to this unobtainable person or whatever. I think it's, caller, it's honestly awesome you were so frank about being lonely. Shit, it's the most common thing, and it's hard. It's goddamn hard to meet people. We had a caller last week where he was talking about he moved to a new town and he just wants to make friends, and I'm like, that's harder than meeting a lover, way harder. Mm-hmm. Meeting someone who wants to hang out with you platonically, it's the toughest thing. That you also want to hang out with, it's such an organic, long process making a friend.
I just read an article like literally this morning before I came on here where they were talking about how there's been a rise in these social media apps like Tinder and all these things where people are putting profiles in being like just looking for friends and people using them to find friends that way. Whoa. And like that's like a new thing that's been happening in the last couple of months kind of thing.
Oh, that's oddly refreshing.
Yeah.
I think like the first people to take out personal ads when everyone has made fun of them, like in the paper, were like these amazingly brave pioneers. They were like, fuck it, I don't care. I'm tired of being by myself. I want someone special, like I'm going to do it. I'm going to write about myself, like the hardest fucking thing to do, and then it became much more, accepted and stuff, and then homogenized to the point where I was laughing the other day because I'm in P-Town during Bear Week, and there's all these big hairy men walking around with each other. It's beautiful, and there's a thing called Tea Dance that they all go to every day. It's from 4 to 7 when they all go to this place called the Boat Slip. It's a dock, and they all go out there and they drink and dance together. There's a line down the street, and I'll take Rose, my daughter, out and walk down there while they're gathering, and it's so fun to see them get together. It's just like a migration of literal bears, but they're all dressed in colors and shit. It's fantastic. But they're all, hanging out and talking. And I was laughing at myself about how Grindr was around so long before Tinder came out.
Right.
And the funniest joke to me was that the amount of men that thought Tinder would work for straight men like it worked for gay men on Grindr, where they're like, chick will just be like, swipe right and we're fucking, bro. And it like happened for like 6 guys. And they were all famous.
Yeah.
I love female friends who have told me stories of meeting a guy on Tinder and swiping right and showing up, and he's like in sweatpants, like no shirt, and was like, what are you doing? And she's like, I want to get coffee. And he's like, huh, what? And like, Renee Gautier told me this guy was like, let me see what we're working with, like looking at her body and shit.
Oh my God.
Like, I'm going to take off. I mean, that one floored me. Just like he's a new car or something.
Well, even Ben Affleck is having problems on it. Did you see that video of his, like, where he's like, hey, it's me, it's Ben Affleck. Why did you leave me on read?
It's me. Oh, And I think Ben Affleck is talented, man. That
I do too. I love Batman.
The way back, that one he did about the alcoholic business basketball coach. That,
I never saw that, but in the movie theater, if you go to the Americana, like over in Glendale,
sure.
Like that's the film that got frozen with the pandemic. Like that's the one that's on the marquee because that was like it came out the week that it all fell to shit. It's been up for like 2 years.
Yeah. Hampton Yount had the funniest joke about that. He's like, this movie should be called Slam Drunk. Like, God.
That's great.
They're stupid, but you fucking nailed the answer to that. That's exactly how. I love that you're just like, all right, got this. I'm an expert. Here's how.
FaceTime. Yeah.
All right. So we got one more.
All right.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay, let's do it. Call number 4.
Hey, Matt and Trevor. This is Scooter from Bushwick. If you have any advice on trying acid for the first time, I would love to hear it. I grew up in the Just Say No, Dare era, and now the New York Times publishes articles that say we need to be more open-minded about society's drug use. I'm conflicted. How should we all find the right balance in our lives? Say yes to mushrooms, but no to heroin? Thanks. Been loving the Twitch streams. I'm a proud member of Trevor Country. See you on Mars.
All right. Wow. That's a good.
Wow.
That's
good. Way to land it, Scooter.
Yeah.
This is a perfect last call.
I feel like Scooter was reading his, like he had worked his out. It was very very professional.
Mm-hmm. I can't tell Scooter was female either, or non-binary.
That's cool. That's cool. Scooter's a mystery.
Yeah, I like that. I like that Scooter could be anything, like Chris.
Yeah, Scooter's a concept.
Yeah. Scooter's an idea, man.
That's the thing. Is like people can die. A scooter cannot die because a scooter is a concept. Yeah, it's
right. That's right.
An idea. God, I don't know. I've only done LSD one time.
Yeah.
And it was the dumbest way to do LSD, which is I was at a rave, which is very dumb.
Wow.
I was very young and I was looking for ecstasy, as a kid. And this guy was like, I don't have ecstasy, but I have LSD. And I was like, sure. Like it's like the Diet Coke version of Coke, which it's not. They're totally different things.
Yeah.
So I don't have a ton of experience with LSD. I feel like, and he's like, where is the line? Like all that stuff. Like I'm a big fan of just, pot, mushrooms, you're good. You could pretty much get all the learning you need from those. You don't need to start doing anything heavier.
I love with respect to microdosing and stuff. Mm-hmm. Which I've never tried as a regimen, but I know it's helped a lot of people. I like just taking mushrooms as a treat very rarely,
mm-hmm.
and I can't, now that I have a very young baby or kid, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Who's like a month away from being a year, I don't know when I'll take them again. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hopefully it's someday, but it's like, I'm the same way. I've never knowingly taken LSD. I've hit a lot of joints and blunts that certainly had things in them I did not know were in them.
Yeah.
But that was New York in the 90s, baby.
Yeah.
When I was in college my feeling has always been, though, it's funny. I knew a guy who now he's a deep sea scuba diving instructor, but he was always the guy that did all the psychedelics in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to Paul. And he once said to me at a party, deeply stoned, sunglasses on indoors, was like, he liked LSD. He's like, mushrooms are cool, man, but they will take you there, man. They will take you there. So I was like, really? Because to me, I'm like, mushrooms grow in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
LSD made in a lab, invented by the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
But just because mushrooms are natural, I didn't really have paranoia about them. And I've only had one or two uncomfortable experiences. I wouldn't even call them bad. So it's like, I don't know, Scooter. I think try shrooms with a friend or two. My advice would just be like, don't do it alone first time. Don't have too much. Just have a little, see how it makes you feel. You're going to feel kind of like you're vibrating in a good way, and you're going to feel affection towards the world itself. and that's a good thing. That, at least it's speaking from my experience.
Always do less than someone else and watch them like a hawk. They're the canary in the mine. Because then if they're like having a bad time, then you're like, okay, I got a bad time coming up. Like, like
shit. Right.
I would do mushrooms all through college and never had a good experience. Always negative. always bad. And but then it wasn't. And then I stopped. I actually had like a kind of a mental breakdown. I smoked a joint after comics one night, and in New York, and something was in it. I don't know what it was to this day, but it was for a couple weeks I didn't want to leave my room, and I would say it took me about 2 years to get to the point of feeling normal again. And so I stopped doing everything. I just hit my mic. I stopped doing everything for like 4 or 5 years. And then, but I think it's also like a lot of it is where you are mentally at the time. Like, I think a lot of that stuff just brings, the thing about like mushrooms is that it brings these things that you might be like, like packing down. You're exploring parts of your brain that you're not really like conscious of when you're, when you're sober. So like, if you've got some stuff, if you're messed up in the head, it's going to bring it out, and you're going to have to deal with it. And so, like later in life, as an older person, I've had nothing but wonderful experiences. But I in my 20s, like I would have bad experiences on stuff like that.
And that's exactly right. The stuff you kind of keep buried, you might focus in on a little bit, but on the flip side, you might realize it's not as bad as you think it is, and you shouldn't be as afraid of it as you are.
Yeah, like you might. I mean, that's why I think they're probably going to legalize mushrooms. And they have in a couple states, and I think that we're going to vote on it like this year in California, like for therapeutic uses, because like it forces you to confront some of these things that you're packing down inside your head.
Yeah. And you kind of recognize what you like and don't like. I remember being in Cannon Beach with Kara, and we were at a farmer's market in the middle of the day, and like the sun was kind of knifing through the trees, and it was pretty bustling. And we'd taken mushrooms and decided to go to this farmer's market, and I hated it. I was like, everyone's bumping into me. I can't see. This isn't fun. And it made me realize it's like, you go to the farmer's markets in the morning when it's like, a little cooler out, and there's not necessarily as many people, but middle of the day on a Saturday, it's just packed. And we went and sat on a bench in front of this country store and just watched people walk by, and I'm like, oh, this is way better. I'm just sitting and just taking it in. I'm not sitting here pretending I'm going to buy fucking mushrooms or something, regular mushrooms, So it just made the amount of times we in our lives don't just stop and go, wait, I don't like this. I want to do something else. Or I'm just pretending to myself to enjoy this kind of thing,
Yeah, you don't have to, like with mushrooms, you don't have to, like I remember like my dumb ass as a kid would take mushrooms and go to an amusement park. Wow. Like where I'd be like, that'll be fun. Like, like that. But then that's too intense. Like, you just need to go sit in the grass.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it.
It's too much.
Too much. Well, and I hope that helps. Like, just really just start small and be with people. I mean, I can't stress that enough. Like, I actually had a friend who was starting to microdose, and he brought the whole bag over to my house, and we were watching, you were doing Coachella, like watching Coachella on YouTube, flipping around the stages on a big screen TV. And I just took a handful and ate it. And he's like, what are you doing? And my wife's like, we're just chilling. We're having a couple drinks. What are you doing? And like, my wife kicked me out of bed that night. And I kept flipping around like a fucking guinea pig or a squirrel on speed. And I had to go sleep in the next room. I've told this story on the show, but like I had to talk myself down like Gollum, like looking this way and then looking this way, like as.
Oh yeah.
And I did. And it was just like, you're being a prick. Don't be mad at her. And you kind of have to forgive yourself because you got to go sleep. It was like a whole thing. But it was good. It was good. It was healthy. But
that's good.
Yeah. But
and you overcame it. That's the Matt, I got to say, I don't think you got to do that preamble at the beginning of the show where you tell people not to take your advice. I mean, you're just as qualified as like Dr. Oz, you know? Isn't that guy not? He's just like Oprah's friend. Yeah.
Yes. Well, or Dr. Phil. Not a doctor at all.
They're just dudes.
It's just dudes. It's I mean, that's the audacity, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure people have a problem with Father John Misty calling himself that, but I have way less of a problem with that than someone going, "Hi, I'm Dr. Phil." And it's like, where did you study, doctor? You're medical? No, it's people call me that because I give a straight talk. Like, fuck off. What?
Yeah. I'm Oprah's friend. In
that case,
Oprah deems her friends doctors because that's two. Oz and Phil were both Oprah friends who are now doctor whoever, and they're not doctors.
And it'd be funny if like you became friends with her, she started calling you doctor, and you're like, please stop it. And then you guys broke up as friends because you're like, I can't handle this. People are like fucking being like, my shoulder, it's weird. Can you?
Or people start weighing. They're like, you know, it's going to cost me. It's going to cost me like $400,000 to go through medical school, to go through college, to become a doctor. For that amount, I could rent a place in Montecito that's walking distance to Oprah's place, and maybe I'd run into her out jogging or something, and we would become friends. Like,
get lost walking home with a tray of fresh baked, muffins or something. Oh, would you like one? Hi. Is this Stedman? Huge.
This is Dr. Stedman.
You don't get enough. Yes. You don't get enough credit, Stedman. You're a cool dude. Okay, so that's the show. Do you have anything you want to plug before you?
Yeah, I got. We do. The Whitest Kids is on YouTube and Twitch at official WKUK. We do almost a new show every night on the Twitch channel. We're raising money for a Mars movie, and then I have my talk show. The second season of my the Trevor Moore show has just come out on Comedy Central's YouTube channel, and it's on their website. So yeah,
super great, dude. I mean, I always have fun doing the show, but this fucking flew by, and like we typically shows are like 45 minutes to like 50 minutes. This is an hour 5.
Yeah.
This is incredible. So this
it's just good hanging out, good catching up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's grab a beer sometime.
Dude, I get back to the homeland near the end of the month. I'm fucking down. That
awesome.
Sounds great. Well, dude, thanks for coming on the show, man. Appreciate
thanks for having me. Cool. I'll see you later.
All right, brother. Take care. Holy crap, that was so much fun. Trevor Moore does so many things and has so much insight, and God, it was fun to catch up with him. If you'd like some advice from one of my next upcoming esteemed guests, call 323-763-0228. Again, that's 323-763-0228. And thanks.
This Might Help with Matt Braunger was created and hosted by me, Matt Braunger. Produced by Outer Circle Media. Executive producers Matt Kleinschmidt and Robert Kelly for the Laugh Button Podcasts.